I'm a little late this morning, just doing some other things musically. You could check out my latest song I did, I'd Love You to Want Me by Lobo. For me, in high school, it was one of those, heartbreaking songs, especially if you were, in a breakup or something, or, in between, or, whatever. It's just one of those songs that you just kind of go, oh, my heart. Anyway, and so, yeah. We stopped in Swedenborg, on page 121, and we're talking about how evil in this world, if you knew that, you weren't going to get in trouble if you were to do something, would you still do it, basically? Because you can't change it. You're still the same person when you die. Your spirit's the same. So you got to look carefully at your actions and thoughts here. So Swedenborg says, evils can't be set aside unless they come to light. But it doesn't mean that you have to act out our evil in order to bring them to light. We need to look carefully not only at our actions, but also our thoughts. At what we do, what we would do if there were not for our fear of law or ill repute. We need to look especially at which evils we see as permissible in our spirit and do not regard as sins, for eventually we will do them. Okay, so oh yeah, okay, working on a song here, trying to get the paper out of the way. Okay, excuse me. Allergies again. It is for self-examination that we have been given discernment, a discernment separated from our volition, so that we can know, discern, recognize what is good and what is evil. It is also so that we can see what the real nature of our volition is, that is, what we love and what we desire. It is to enable us to see that this is our discernment, has been given both higher and lower thought processes, both more inward and more outward through processes. It is so that we can use the higher or more inward thoughts to see what our volition is up to in our lower and outer thoughts. We see this the way we see our face in a mirror. When we see and recognize what sin is, then if we want to ask the Lord for help, we can stop intending it, abstain from it, and later act against it. If we cannot go through this process easily, we can still make it happen by trying to go through it, so that finally we reject that evil and detest it. Then for the first time we actually sense and feel that evil is evil and good is good. That is what it means to examine ourselves, to see, acknowledge our evils, to confess them, then refrain from them. However, there are so few who know that this is the essence of the Christian religion, because the only people who do so are ones who have clarity and faith and are led by the Lord to do what is good in His strength. That I need to say something about people who do not do this and still think that they are religious. They are people who confess that they are guilty of all sins but do not look for any single sin in themselves. People who for religious reasons do not bother to look. People who for worldly reasons do not think about sins, therefore do not know what they are. People who cherish their sins, therefore cannot know what they are. In all these cases, the sins do not come to light and therefore cannot be set aside. Finally, I need to expose a previous unrecognized reason why evils could not be set apart from this examination. This bringing to light, this recognition, this confession, and this resistance. These items need to be looked at one at a time, though because they are basic elements of the Christian religion, on our part. They are people who confess that they are guilty of all sins but do not look for any single sin in themselves. They say, I am a sinner. I was born in sins. There is no soundness in me from head to toe. I am nothing but evil. Gracious God, look on me with favor, give me, purify me, save me, make me walk in purity, in the way of righteousness and the like. Yet they do not look into themselves, therefore do not identify any particular evil. And no one who does not identify an evil can abstain from it, let alone fight against it. They think that they are clean, washed after these confessions, when in fact they are unclean and unwashed from their heads to the soles of their feet. This blanket confession is nothing but a lullaby that leads finally to blindness, and it is like some grand generalization which, with no details, which is actually nothing. They are people who for religious reasons do not bother to look. These are primary people who separate charity from faith. They say to themselves, why should I ask whether something is evil or good? Why should I ask about evil when it does not damn me? Why should I ask about goodness when it does not save me? It is my faith alone, the faith that I have thought about and proclaimed with trust and confidence, that justifies me and purifies me from all sin. Once I have been justified, I am whole in God's sight. Of course I am immersed in evil, but God wipes this away the moment it happens, so that it no longer... God wipes this away from the moment it happens, so that it is no longer present and more of the same sort. Can anyone whose eyes are open fail to see that these are meaningless words? Words that have no content because they have no worth in them. Anyone can think and talk like this, and can do so with trust and confidence when thinking about hell and eternal damnation. Do people like this want to know anything further? Whether anything is really true or good? As to truth, they say, what is truth other than whatever reinforces my faith? As to goodness, they say, what is good other than what I have because of my faith? In order to have it within me, though, I do not need to do it as though I were doing it myself, because that would be for credit. Good done for credit is not truly good. So they skip over the whole subject so completely that they don't know what evil is. What will they look for? So they skip over the whole subject so completely that they do not know what evil is. What will they look for and see in themselves then? What is their state but a fire of obsession with evil that is confined within them, devouring the inner substance of their minds and destroying everything right up to the door? All they are doing is guarding the door so that no one can see the fire, but the door is opened after death, and then everyone can see. They are people who, for worldly reasons, do not think about sin, and therefore do not know what they are. These are people who love the world above all and will give a hearing to any truth that might deflect them from the false principles of their religion. They say to themselves, what do I care about this? This is not the way I think. So they reject it as soon as they hear it. Or if it does not get through at all, they suppress it. They do much the same thing when they hear sermons retaining only a few words with no substance. What's that beep? Where? Okay. Since this is how they treat truths, they do not know what good is. Since the two act in unison, There is no way to identify evil on the basis of any good that is not based on truth. All they can do is call evil good by rationalizing it with their distortions. These are the people meant by the seeds that fell among the thorns. The Lord said of them, other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. These are the people who hear the word, but the cares of this world and the deceptiveness of the riches choke the word so that it becomes unfruitful. Matthew 13:7, 22, Mark 4:7, 14, 4:7, 18, and 19, Luke 8:7 and 14. So they are people who cherish their sins and therefore cannot know what they are. These are the people who believe in God and worship Him with the usual rituals and yet rationalize for themselves that some evil that is a sin is really not a sin. They camouflage it with disguises and cosmetics that conceal how grotesque it is. Once they have accomplished this, they cherish it and make it their friend and constant companion. I've said that these people believe in God because only people who believe in God are capable of regarding evil as sin. All sin is sin against God. But some examples make this clear. When people who are bent on profit make different kinds of cheating permissible by inventing rationalizations, they are saying that evil is not a sin. People who rationalize taking vengeance on their enemies are doing the same thing, as are people who rationalize plundering people who are not their enemies in times of war. In this case, the sins do not come to light, therefore cannot be set aside. The evil that is not brought to light feeds on itself. It is like a fire in wood buried in ashes. It's like a poison in a wound that has not been lanced. For any evil that is shut away keeps growing and growing until everything has been brought to an end. So, to prevent any evil from being shut away, we are allowed to think in favor of God and against God, in favor of the holy practices of the church or against them, without being punished for it in this world. The Lord speaks of this in Isaiah. From the soles of the feet to the head there is no soundness. There is a wound and scar, fresh beating, not squeezed or bound up or anointed with oil. Wash yourselves, purify yourselves. Take away the evil of your deeds before my eyes. Stop doing evil, learn to do good. Then if your sins have been like scarlet, they will be white as snow. If they have been ruddy as a purple robe, they will be like wool. If you refuse and rebel, you will be devoured by the sword. Isaiah 1:6, 16, 18, 10, 1:6, 16, 17, 18, and 20. Being devoured by the sword means being destroyed by our malicious distortions. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So Monday, or always hard to get started with the week. Anyway, but I do hope that you have a blessed week, and I think that this is good for me too. I really need to re-examine some things in my own life too, because I don't want to bring that, with me when I go. So it's not something that we're always told about, because at least in the church that I grew up in, you just say this magic little prayer and you're saved, and I got baptized and all of that stuff, and I thought, okay, well, I'm saved now, but no, and I, deep down inside, I think we all know this. It just, like, when something like this is brought to the forefront and put before us, then you really have to take a look at it, or just go back into, distorting yourself or continually, sinning, and then, you're the one that chooses where you want to go in this afterlife, really. And I can recall asking the Lord, I'm just not ready yet. I don't feel ready. So this is His way of answering me, I believe. Anyway, I hope that you have a great week, and I'll try to get some reading done tomorrow. Bye.